Talofa, good morning, everyone. Before we begin, we wanted to advise everyone, just run down a few things with everybody. We just wanted to advise everyone to please remain muted. Do not try to unmute yourself during the program, except for those assigned parts in the program. We kindly ask, and if you wish to, please turn on your videos to join us, because we will be taking screenshots throughout the program. But that is entirely up to you as to whether or not you wish to have your video on or not. We will also be taking a group photo towards the end of the program. And if you prefer to turn on your video then that's okay too. We are live streaming on Facebook, and the recording will be posted on YouTube at a later time. We want to apologize in advance for any disruptions that we may experience today due to technical or internet problems that the island is currently going through as we've moved into code red. We will try our best to minimize any disruptions. So thank you all for your patience. If you find Noatu, follow mic, follow microphone. Mole a wone tau fai faunga pe faula mai a o sa no se tasi o la tolo iai ia vaenga I tono le tatu Proclamation tal sanga ina foi pe a fina ngalo iai ina ia faula mai lau video pe a mafai ona e tupu ina ata a o faanga solo tatu Proclamation ai ia ti o lava le faitali o le tulanga o le a tupu ina foi tatu wata tatu vaenga ile mai ai o tato Proclamation la talata al fai unga o tato Proclamation le so o lo fa ali el time to sound Proclamation lungo le Facebook ma le atu ua I lungo le YouTube I se time o luma fa malulu atu o no nisi tulanga a tono e ono tula mai le so pon fa le tono e ono a fia tato Proclamation le tu o le tau interneti po le upenga te fai langu o le autom fai atu ina I faititi ne faititia le tulanga o fale tonu ono tula mai ma lo lava lon sai fa taitele ma lo falo alo lava fa mali atu I to fa funga mai o lo fai ma tale atu le taitai o le aso ia o le pole le o mawar kuviti Fatalo fa atu fa felo ia tu ila o tu awai mai I le tato Proclamation mo le nia so tai manuia Rick Samoa ila fa sausaunga wa o juri matautia mai le mawa Rick Samoa te atu I sawanga fa lo tu fale ma sawanga fa feuswa inga ai o tele ila aloa e au lavon fa aftaia le tapausili langi o na o lana pule fa soifua mo I tatou o wano leo tatou fasilfa I le maunga wao ia ai le o le maunga o liulau mea soifua maua ma langi ma o le pule fa soifua lea le atua wali matete ina mai e tatou ai al tatou wheloa inga fa tasinga tatou mafutanga I le nei aso fau ma o te tua tuele lima o le fa talofa ma fa piatu talofa lava o tau pa ia ma tau mamalu I tu uma ia o le a lea fia is famtalanga wa o Samoa o le atunu o e malu tau ave ai tau ina ia o fa piatu too low na lava o te whaatalofa atu le afio mai o le afionga e Kovansili o Rick Samoa le afionga I Alemanu Pileti maunga afio mai fo I tau afionga I whaatono mtanga luenga SS tanga luenga taitasi o le malo ma whaalapu tutonga tu maoti taitasi whapena foi o tau sui SS o lo mwhaina awai mai o lo mawale avanoe awai mai foi I le nei tae au e le ngalo foi a fia si onu va I le whaatasi mai o le afionga I le whaipule o nisi foi o sui o le ofisa o le whaipule o le sui awawa Rick Samoa la mua Washington I e whaatalo whaatu whapena foi an whaatalo whaatu le malu paanga wo ma au mea mai ale mau ma o tō uma o mwhai ona whaavanoina la o tō taimi tā ua tā tō te whaatasi mai ai mo sina I tō la mo sina taimi neta e au ia awale whaailoa, sainia, malua ia o le poloaʻiga falauaitele mo lenei masina ae afoʻiga aluega po le kalame ma auaunaga mo i latou aʻafia i sauaga. Ua atou ai nei tino o le tama i le mamalu lea ua afio mai. Ma o te whaapea atu ai ma loso I fomaua ma langi e ma. Talofa and good morning. Welcome to the 2022 virtual signing of the Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month Proclamation. My name is Judy Matautia, and I am the training coordinator for the American Samoa Alliance Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, the federally recognized territorial dual coalition on domestic and sexual violence for the territory of American Samoa. We are so grateful to have all of you here this morning to witness and declare this month of April 2022 as Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. Your presence continues to speak volumes, and your partnerships continues to allow the work to move forward collaboratively. Whawhitai, whawhitai, whawhitai. We begin today with the spoken word. Joining us is a young lady from the island of Manua, from Fiti'ita, Manua, where COVID has not made its way to so far. She was the winner of the first Poetry Slam hosted by the Alliance and Brown Girl Woke in 2018 for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. She also performed at Poetry Slam 2018 during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Today, she works for the American Samoa Department of Agriculture, also in training to be a volunteer recruiter for the American Samoa Red Cross in Manua. She is a first-year student studying theology at the King's Leadership Bible College, aside from her love of writing and performing the spoken word. She is the amazing and beautiful daughter of Pastor and Mrs. Fred Scanlon of Oua and Fiti'ita Manua. We call on Stina Scanlon for today's praise through spoken word. Good morning, Stina, and thank you for joining us. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Judy, for the opportunity and for that fine introduction. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll be praying in a very different way this morning. Amen. In the words of the psalmist, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Within this empty body, within this hollow temple, a heart that blesses the Father, pumping blood that will never cover how much blood that was shed for me 2,000 years ago on a rugged cross on Calvary, that through his resurrection we can have victory over sin, over death. Grateful is what we are today, for we are creation created by the Creator to create spaces such as these for our people, in the footsteps of our ancestors, speaking seeds into our ground, watered by sweat and tears, germinated knowledge to give awareness to our people, fertilized in truth and in love. I pray we stay educated to nurture the future generations to come, to steward a generation that is God-fearing, faith-bearing, to die to our flesh and be Christ-like living. Our ancestors planted the trees so that we could enjoy the shade and eat of the fruit that it bears. Served on a hand-weaved ma'ilo to remind us of our humble beginnings, to stay true to what we stand for, to proclaim a proclamation that holds truth and support for justice, to help those in need, to protect those who hold their tongues against their predators, their abusers. Remember that God is our vengeance. And so for this day to come into fruition, we give God our hearts of thanksgiving, that these are the fruits of our hard work, that this is the labor of our empty bodies, the labor of our hollow temples. These are the works that bless the Lord. To the one that dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, to the one that gives beauty for ashes, for joy, for mourning, to the one who deems you worthy of a garment of praise for your spirit of heaviness, to the name that is above all names. Hear our prayer, O God. We give you glory, we give you honor and praise. In your mighty name, Jesus, we poetically pray. Amen. Thank you. God bless.
Fatai, Celestina. Thank you for that beautiful praise through spoken word. We hope to continue using the youth of our community, the youth of our territory, do this work. Thank you so much. Ai tātou te le'i la aloha o le atu ina atu na wanoa nei mō se tātou whaamalistino mai titi mō tātou soifua manuia. We're going to give it over to Marilyn Ho-Ching, who is the media coordinator for the American Samoa Alliance, and Marilyn will lead us through wellness this morning.
Good morning and talofa, everyone. Here at the Alliance, we feel that our mental wellness is very important. So every working morning we practice a wellness exercise that we'd like to share with you all. So at this moment, I would like everyone to close your eyes and just take a breath, breathe in and breathe out, and really focus on how you're feeling this morning. Are you feeling calm, nervous, anxious, hungry? Just take a moment to focus solely on your body and how you're feeling. Now you open your eyes, and now I want you to think about how are you going to support yourself today with the feelings that you just went through and what you're feeling. You can support yourself in many ways. Some examples are that today I'm going to focus on drinking water. Water is good for you. Water will help you get through the day and help you think clearer. Maybe it's just going for a walk. Maybe it's making sure that you have a really good lunch today. So throughout the day, I want you to really focus on what it is that you're going to do to support yourself. Okay, Judy, thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. As Marilyn had mentioned, wellness is a big part of the work of the Alliance. We realize and we understand the importance of our wellness in moving forward, especially during these challenging times as we are in Code Red. I now give it over to Jennifer Tafayono, the Executive Director of the American Samoa Alliance, for her welcoming and opening remarks.
Thank you, Judy. On behalf of the Alliance Board of Directors and staff, we want to thank you for being here with us today. Your presence is greatly appreciated. Today, I want to start off and ask, how do we begin difficult discussions? I know that COVID-19 is in the forefront of our thoughts. We talk about COVID, and it can be and is a difficult discussion. We ask ourselves, and we ask each other, do we get vaccinated? Do we not get vaccinated? Do we wear a mask? Do we practice social distancing? Do we listen to the science? And these are conversations that are pulling families apart and communities apart. We're grateful for the work of the COVID task force and our governor, as well as all the other support systems, but we're still afraid of what COVID can do to us. We're waiting for a reprieve of what comes next, and it is really stressful when we think about COVID-19. But what if we just put just as much energy in discussing sexual assault in American Samoa? We know it's a difficult discussion in our community. And like COVID, these are conversations that pull families apart and communities apart. We read stories in the newspaper of family members who are inappropriately touched, perpetrators who force themselves on victims. And yet we have people in the community that do not believe or act. Studies show that victims of sexual violence suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. For victims of sexual assault, they are 3.5 times greater to have suicidal thoughts than those who do not experience sexual assault. Depression is 2.7 times greater in victims of sexual assault. When you include drugs and alcohol misuse, it's 6 times greater in victims of sexual assault. When victims of sexual assault come into our office and they share their stories, we ask them, did you report? Did you report the incident? And they tell us they're afraid to report. And when we ask why, because they feel nothing would be done, because the abuser is a family member or somebody known to them or a friend. And it makes it really difficult to tell their stories. When we talk about COVID-19, the conversations focus on how do we protect ourselves? Well, this is the same thing for sexual assault. It's the same process. How do we help keep our community to make sure that our victims or people in our community are protected, that our family members, our loved ones, and our friends are protected from sexual assault? For COVID-19, we're told to mask up, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and stay home to mitigate the spread of disease. We need to have and develop a plan to protect our victims and our loved ones. We need to start talking about how do I protect myself, my children, my family, so that they're not going to become a victim of sexual assault. So here are 5 things that I think that we can do. One thing is to make sure that we arm ourselves and our family with knowledge. Studies show that people who commit sexual assault, they target individuals in communities who lack power or are part of a vulnerable community. These are people with addictions, women, people with disabilities, our elderly, our children, teenagers, people of color, our lesbian, our gay, our bisexual community, our Fa'afafine, our Fa'afatama communities. Perpetrators know, they just know to zero in on people who are living in poverty, people with criminal records, the homeless, sex workers, prisoners, and others. They target people who are less likely to report the assault because when they do tell, they're less likely to be believed. It's time to reform the norm, change what has been our normal reaction to sexual assault. Number 2, have these discussions with our young girls and our boys and our family members and in the community. As we see the increase of alcohol and drugs in our communities, studies show intoxicated males or people who drink, they present hostile attitudes towards women, and it affects and impairs their decision-making. We will continue to see an increase of stories in the newspaper of sexual assault as more of our community are influenced by alcohol and drugs. Now, I'm not saying that alcohol and drugs are the reason, but they impact the decision-making. We make poor decisions when we are drunk or high. Remember to talk to your loved ones about what a perpetrator looks like, even if it's someone in our family. You can save an individual from so many years of hurt and years of trauma. Number 3, we need to believe. Our Samoan women are silenced due to shame, disgrace, and embarrassment of what the crime of sexual assault will bring to the family. Sharing their sexual assault stories and abuse stories, it's not easy. But studies show out of 100 rapes, only 5 or 20 of them are actually reported. A small number of 0.4 to 5.4 are prosecuted, and these are national averages. And only 0.2 to 5.2 result in conviction. We need to reform the norm and start believing our victims. There are organizations who have developed campaigns to encourage people to start by believing. It's a day where the community comes together in single unity to do a voice, to have that voice of those who have been the victims of sexual assault. It's to remind them, we hear you and we're here to help. Number 4, rapists don't just attack once. They reoffend many times. We must strengthen our efforts as a community to support sexual assault survivors. When we see someone who is in trauma, ask them questions. Let them know you're concerned. Remind them it's a safe space. If you see them being withdrawn or changes in their appearances or changes from a happy person to someone who isolates and is sad, talk to them. See if there's anything you can help them with. Let them know you're here, you're there for support. If they share with you that they are a victim of sexual assault, believe them. Change the lens in which we see what a victim looks like. Remember, a perpetrator always finds someone that no one will believe. Remember the principles of the Fa'asamoa that does not condone acts of violence, particularly against family members. We need to use the Fa'asamoa as a guide. Remember our family about the sacred va, where respect is the key. It honors the sacred spaces and relationships in family. We have to strengthen the response to sexual assault in American Samoa. And number 5, it is crucial and necessary to support those who are working to take care of our victims. As we see our service providers being stretched to respond to COVID-19, this is a prime time for perpetrators to hone in on our victims. As we see the increase of alcohol and drugs, we know that there's going to be an increase in the number of sexual assault in our community. So if you're in a village setting, ask your pulenu'u and family leader to come together to protect our victims. We have restorative justice practices in our villages. Encourage our leaders to use these in cases when the police are stretched. We have limited resources here in American Samoa, and sometimes we need to have discussions in safe spaces on how we protect our villages during a pandemic. In no way am I saying not to go to the police or report it, but we do know only 20% of victims will report. They'll most likely share with their families. Families and villages need to come together to identify what will they do when a victim approaches them for protection. We have to have the difficult discussions and make a plan. My last comment, in many cases, we're asked to not talk about it. But I hope today that you will reform the norm, change the approach to sexual assault, and tell people we need to have these difficult discussions for a healthier community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing all that information. Now we give it over for our special remarks from the Honorable Governor of American Samoa, Governor Lemanu Beleti Maunga. Governor.
La tulanga whaatai la sunga tiuri ma le tātou fontanga nei taeau no la tulanga whaatai le tuafine o tina fo i astina e a wafo i le tātou taro whailo i a malamatanga. Alanga whaatai fo i le tina i a Marilyn e le taeau i a malwhamarostino. Ia e ui lava le i ngau yo i se masoli Marilyn. Ia al meta ua ngau yo i ma fau whaaftai. E leo tapunia o le tima al maputasi o na le whaiela i o tapu exercise tula i lunga. Ia o le ngang whaaftai fo i le whonga tato waso. Le tina ia Jennifer. Ia lele o whailo whataoto. Ia e meise fo i tūlanga o le fontanga. Ia wale amatanga o le ngā luenga e le whaingofie. Whatalo whatua i le nei tae au e whaimisui o le whainga malo. Mo si o tātou e tanu e mure atu le angang whaaftai le amana ia. Ia meise fo i le walaulia. Ia e tamwhai atuai se whamtalanga. Ia wale nei tae au malona amatanga. O le nei fo i aso i tūlanga uma. Ui lava wa whatia si o tātou o tanu i le whamaioti. Ia e le tuu ai tūlanga o ngā luenga. E le tuu ai tūlanga o tūlanga e tau o na whai ia wafu fuanga mo si o tātou o tanu malona lumanai. Whafo i la le vihinga i le atua. O au me uma e tātou te whaia. A le au noa malana fsoswani ta inga ia ar tūlanga fo i tau singo i tātou. Ia nao ni ngā luenga fuafuanga whaifua si o tātou o tanu. Whātalo whātu fo i whafonga si o tātou o tanu tā puai. Ia meise fo i le mamalu o le whainga malo. I lona tā whaitolu. Ia ma le whionga le whaipule i masalo o lo whalonglongo mai. Sila mai. Ia le whionga i au i whaatali. Ei le nei lava le tae ao sa whai ei le suma le tātou vaenga le whionga le kovana lutena. Ia ma le task force fo i o lo tau whiofi ma fuafua tūlanga le koviti. Langona o silfia si o tātou tanu silfia fo i le malu. O le tātou fontanga i le nei tae ao. Ia le o se tūlanga e whaingofia. Peita. Ia lele ua tau nuu le waa. Ia sa tātou tau mawhai e fuafua ia i e fuafuanga le whainga malo. Ia o saufia si o tātou o tanu. O le tūlanga lava ia o le whamai. Ia e whawhefi tangata, popole tangata. Ia o le soifuanga o le olanga. E le mawhai o na tātou tāofi. Le iai le tae au le nei. E alu lava le soifuanga o le olanga a e fuafua fo i tātou. Wa o le isi lea vaenga tele. I le lumanai o alo ma whanau. Ia e meise le mamalu si o tātou o tanu. I tūlanga fuafua. Whaftai ai le mamalu o le nei fontanga. I le Alliance. Ia ma o tau uma lo tau mawhaia lo tātou whamoemoe. Ma lo le alofa. Ma lo whaftai le toa, ma lo whaftai le loto tele. Tele foi o whawhita auli peo na saunoa le tinai a Jennifer le nei tae au. E le whaingofie. E le se tūlanga e whaingofie a whaina o ainga. A whainga o le atunu ma le anganu. I mea whapenei. Ai, o lea le tātou fontanga le nei tae au. Ia le ai le tu ai me tauna whai. Ia wafu fuanga a le tātou Alliance. Ia ma asosi ese o lo tau mawhai. Ia o la soifua whanau o le atanu. Ia o la soifua le mamalu o le atanu. I lona manuia. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here this morning to join you of such a worthy cause. I commend American Samoa Alliance and all organizations against domestic and sexual violence and its leadership for organizing this virtual event. We are grateful for your organizations, such as yours and all those that diligently advocate for others. Others that can't be helped others that are afraid to come forward because for whatever reason, and there you are, standing in the front or in the back, helping each and every one of them. Sadly, our newspaper is filled with stories of domestic violence and sexual assault, further confirming what too many of us already know to be true, that our territory is not immune to these actions of abuse and violence. This month, the month of April, proclaimed as Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, a time where we draw attention to the prevalence of our sexual assaults and educate our community on prevention measures. We are living in challenging times, and COVID-19 pandemic, as I've discussed earlier today, further exacerbate these issues by creating barriers to assistance for sexual assault victims and survivors. Therefore, we must continue to create support initiatives to educate everyone on the warning signs and on the resources that are available. Ending sexual violence and assault is not an easy feat. In order for us to do this, to break this vicious cycle, we must change the way we view violence and these types of abuse. More than ever, it is important to have these difficult conversations with our families and loved ones. The silence and taboo of talking about these hands-on acts has left many vulnerable to such abuses. This negative behavior and such abuse will only thrive us if we remain silent. Therefore, it is crucial that we educate our sons and daughters on healthy relationships and unacceptable behavior that should never be tolerated. We must also normalize speaking out against sexual assaults and intervene when we see harmful and negative behavior that can escalate to such abuses. Above all, we must all foster mutual respect in our relationship and our community. The drama associated with sexual assault can last for a lifetime. Fear of not knowing who to contact, where to go for help. For this reason, I implore your collective support for American Samoa, Alliance Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, its advisory council, and all those working tirelessly to end these types of abuse. We all have a responsibility and a role in fostering a safer community. This month and every month, let us renew our commitment to doing everything possible to help break this vicious cycle and dispel the numerous misconceptions that have allowed sexual assault to continue. I encourage everyone to speak out against sexual assault and support community efforts to assist victims. Lieutenant Governor Talawenga and I applaud the bravery of victims and survivors who continue to empower others through the sharing of these experiences. We also want to thank all non-government organizations that create programs for our most vulnerable population. We thank our first responders, victims advocates, children and families, health and care providers, and those who have spent so much time in helping this special population. We acknowledge the tireless effort of everyone involved in this extremely important work that we're about to do. Lenei aso pe ona tala no atu. Tatou ave le whiau I whafo. Ave le whiau I whafo. Fuafua mo whanau a whaina. Tamwhai I le tātou mawhtanga ma le tātou whontanga. A meise le alliances o lo tātou whatasi. Ia lava le tātou tāpena. Ia sila fia mai loa e le atanu. Sila fia mai loa e whanau. Wa peise I o lātou o loo tupu ai le nei tūlanga whale lei mai o tātou I le au mātua. I le mea suru whai mai ai, po whea o ai, a o ai fo I tala no ai. Ke lātou malama I tūlanga o loo tau whai atu ai le alliances. Tātou o I luma TV o mai lunga newspaper. Ia lava o na whaatalitana noa. Ave iai le ava noa. Ave iai le ava noa e o mai fafo ma tala noa ma au mai. Ia I tātou e mawhai o na tātou tala noa mo I lātou. Au ai fefefe e le mawhai o le a lava tūlanga o na lātou tala noa atu iai. O le atu le angang whaftai fontanga le nei aso. Whamanuia le tua I fuafuanga uma. Ia meise si o tātou o tanu tāpuai. Whamoemoe le tua le tātou alliances. E tasi lo tātou whamoemoe. Ai whalango I le tua I lona malosi. So I fua whaftai mo le avanoa.
Whaftai tele le whionga kuwana. Thank you, Governor, for that beautiful message, for the support. We can always depend on the American Samoa government for support and the partnership within this work. Thank you so much. Your presence today means the world to us. So we are going to go ahead and move on to today's program with the reading of the proclamation. We are going to read the proclamation we're going to read the proclamation in the Samoan language first. For the reading of the proclamation in the Samoan language, we have Fata Mwao, Coordinator for Ainga Care, with the Department of Human and Social Services, under the leadership of Director Muawai Tasi John Suisalo. At DHSS, it is their mission to provide the best possible services and resources to improve the lives of the people of American Samoa. Their vision is to share as an organization focused on providing comprehensive resources in the field of human and social services for a healthier, safer American Samoa. Their divisions offer many programs and services aimed at supporting our communities in the areas of behavioral health, child care, community-based capacity building activities, nutritional counseling and education, referral and support services for individuals with developmental disabilities, substance abuse prevention, intervention and treatment, supplemental nutrition assistance for low-income elderly, blind and disabled individuals, supplemental nutrition assistance for women, infants, and children. Within the departmental setting, DHSS continues to strive to ensure that everyone is treated with dignity, honesty, respect, and recognizing that their staff is their greatest asset. DHSS continues to be a force to be reckoned with in the territory with all the work and programs they serve and provide for the community. They have been and continue to be a long time and long-term partnership and ally to the American Samoa Alliance Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. Morfaitawina pono inga falawa itele tato ngana Samoa, o tato fantasi ene mafata mwao malvainga ole ainga care, se tasi portalame ole mtanga wenga tautua aranga manuia lautele, ilalo taita inga fatonu ya muavai fatasi John Suisala. La tuinatu le avanoa ya fata morfaitawina ole tato pono inga falawa itele.
O la inga whalawi tele, ma sina e whaalawi loa, ma puipuia mai sa wanga whawhiusua inga. So e fuatai mea ua masaniai. Taruai, o le masina le whaalawi loa ina ma le puipuinga mai sa wanga whawhiusua inga. O se wala au ina ia talotangai I manatu, ma whaamatalanga se e whaatatau I sa wanga whawhiusua inga. O winga ma whainga, le saunga le mu e whaatanga ina nei soli tula fono o na whaawau ma sanga whaawawina ai lea awhianga o ila toa awhia I nei sawanga. Ma o le tāua o le tātou tau tatala whaasanga tau atu I ai ina ia suia ai winga o whainga ia whaatangaina ai pea le whaawawina o sauanga whaawhiusua inga. Ma taru ai o sauanga whaawhiusua inga i rona o ngā tutonunga le mo o le whaatautala whaataunga oi o le pule. E a whia i tangata o so se tausanga, tangata nuu i tūpā, whaasinomanga whaale tūpā, tūlanga tau tamau a inga, o le toami, tapua inga, talaanga, matali tanunga. E au whia i sawanga i tino, o upu, o le waai, o la ngona, o le mawhauwhau, anga so tai, whaaleanganga, o mea tau tupe, ma teknolosi, ma e mawhai o na tupu le wāpā anga wāwalarata, sui o a inga, wō, tangata masani, ma tangata ese, ma taruai, o i lātou o saua ina i sauanga whaawhiusua inga. E sili atu le la matia i le tele o whaawhita uli whaare mawhauwhau, o lo o whaalia mai i suenga, o le whaawhita uli o le atu vale o tangata, ona oni mea onga na tutupu le tuanai, e whaawhitula na mawalunga atu, mo i lātou o saua ina i sauanga whaawhiusua inga. O le whaanoa noa, e lua testi ma le fitula na mawalunga atu. Whaafao na mawalunga atu le popole, ma le whaongaina se o whala au whaasaina, ma le awa malosi, e whaono lo na mawalunga atu. Mai lātou wā a whia i sauanga, e tolu tesi ma le lima, le mawalunga atu, e mawhauwhauina le pule o le ola, na ilo o lātou e le i sauaina. Ma taruai, ua whaatupula ia, lui tau o loo whiangai mai lātou wā a whia i sauanga whaawhiusua inga, ona o le poviti, ma ua whaawhaingatai on sa i lia i lātou nei se fisosoani. A o tātou nati atu e tā ofi le sala lau le nei siama ma tautia, e te tau ona whaamautu, ma whaamausia o tātou tau mawhainga, e lango ina i lātou, wa a whia i sauanga whaawhiusua inga. Lea a tonu o whaopopoina o lātou maftianga, ona o le nei whaamai. Whaapea fōi ma le whaale tonu o le tamau a inga, lea wa tili o na whaaleanga ina e le whaamau saliina o le lātou tamau a inga, ma ua whaina tuai ma au ananga. Ma taruai, e tatau ona tātou mai tauina o sauanga whaawhiusua inga, ua lewa o na aveam whaawhita uli, talu le soifua malolo ina whalau e tele, ai le tūra i mai le whaamai. Ua whaadia mai i suenga, e iai se sotanga malosi le wā o sauanga whaawhiusua inga, ma whaamai i tū mau. Whaapea fōi ma whaingatā whaale tamau a inga, e whaumi mo i lātou ua a whia i sauanga whaawhiusua inga. O maftianga o sauanga wa tili whaopopoina i le tau mawalunga o le wa ai o fo mai, ma le tau singa o le soifua malolo ina whaale mawhauwhau. Sa wadia whainga o whaamasinonga tau soli tūlafono, ma whaalea o ngā ina ele tele o le taimi, ma le mawhai o na whai o ngā ruenga. Ma taruai, o tātou tama i ta i Samoa, e māsani o na le oa i sauanga, ona ole masiasi luma mala matanga e ono o ile ainga matua tu ai la wa ila to e te mafatia mai le whaawawina pe o sauanga whaawhiusua inga po le pangatia le ua mai whaanoanoanga ma le atu vale e mawhai ona o atu ai i le pūleo soifua ma taruai o le matawhai yoi o tātou taito tasi le tūla e mai matau tala te te atu, e le ngata i le whaale leia a tili o au nanga, mo i la tau wa a whia i sauanga. Ai te tau fwoi o na suia, o tū, anga, ma mionga lea e whaatanga i nai, le whaawawina o sauanga whaawhiusua inga. Ma taruai, o le tātou whaatasi ai o se atu nuu, e mawhai o na tātou te fuatai mea ua masaniai, e ala i le tātou awai i whaatala noanga anoa, A o ina tātou lava ia maisi. Ngā ruru e anga i le pui a mai sa wanga wha whiusua inga. Mauna mafua anga au tū. Wha awa wina tātou tau mawhainga mao kōpō. Ma ia tali tangata soli tū la whono i o la tō mori anga. Ma taruai, o ma tā upu wha avai o le wha Samoa, e le wha tanga ina ini whainga wha saua ina ini sui o a inga po se isi lava. Ai o le tātou wha Samoa, e te tau na whai mata iala, e wha tala no inai au wala, mo le puipuia, ma le tau fia, e wha o ngā inai manatu au tū, pei o le vātapu ia, i le wā o sui o a inga. O le wha aro tātou a mionga, ma le tātou ngana i le vātapu ia o a inga, po o whaia. A inga lea tātou te wha sawina, ma puipuia, le vātapu ia, ma le alofa wha atua ui. Ma taruai, i le masina o le wha alawi loa ina o sawanga wha whiusua inga. O le mau a Amerika Samoa te atu I sawanga wha loto I whale, mo sawanga wha whiusua inga. Ma tanga ruenga mo ta upu wha le tūla whono, o whisa le loia sili Amerika Samoa. American Samoa Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition, Polisi tu whatasi Amerika Samoa, matanga ruenga wa onga Amerika Samoa, matanga ruenga o ofisa, so I forma lolo ina Amerika Samoa, matanga ruenga tautua malanga manuia mo tanga talau tele, matanga ruenga o puipuinga o sangole mu lau tele, matanga ruenga tupulanga talavou matamaitai, ofisa o kovana Amerika Samoa, ofisa sosoani whaatula fono I Amerika Samoa, ofisa tangata matutua I territory, back on track, tautua ma au nanga lau tele katoliko, a fionga tamaitai whaipule U whaatali au mua amata, empowering Pacific Island communities, impact and territories, intersections E, mautanga sengase, kolokalama a inga fuafuaina, Mana Community Support Services, Office e puipuia ma whaafina ua, ai au I latou e iai mana o ngā whaapitoa, pae ma le auli, Sophia's, Office o whaafita tuai Amerika Samoa, ma isi whaalapo tutonga ma lo nuu ma whioanga, e ka lesia ma whaalapo tutonga whaaleanganga, whaatasiai ma tōtelo nisi taitasi o lemu. Ona nau I le whaumati o sawanga whaawhiusua inga I te tono le atunu. O se ngā ruenga whai whaatasi, e tūlai I le malama ma le puipuia mai I sawanga whaawhiusua inga. Ina ia whaamausali ma whaamautu ina ai le tali atu I sawanga whaawhiusua inga, sawanga I Amerika Samoa.
Lau fionga kovana.
Ke rori tūri.
Iu.
Ka konka. Ko waring me fa pe ko fai ka wa en pushel. Ele staff. Vai la le la fa ma ki o ka fai ka wa ko ve. Ya fai. Ai la se sure mba.
Ia amata mai oi nā le vaenga nai o lo. Mai le. Lo ta welo swafa.
Ia o le fa aftai. O leo a o le manu PS maunga, ko vana sili o territory Amerika Samoa. E tu sai ma le pule ua tu mai ia te au e le tu la fono matangata o Amerika Samoa. Wa upolo eina le masino a perila lua afe lua sifun ma le lua. Le masina e wha lau iloa ma puipuia mai ai sa uanga wha awhewsua inga. O te au i atu whaatasi ma whautua le mau Amerika Samoa. E te atu I sa wanga wha loto I whale ma sa wanga wha whiusua inga. O paanga ma le atanu o Amerika Samoa. I le whaia o ngā yoinga e pui mai ai sa wanga wha whiusua inga. O te tausanga ina Amerika Samoa atoa. Ina ia lango ina la tau a fia I sa wanga wha whiusua inga, apa atu mo se sosoani ma whaelo atu le sauaina o i lātou. A perila o le masina e whaalau iloa ma puipuia mai ai sauanga whaafeusoinga. Ia mao aso taitasi o le tausanga o se avanoa e whai ai suinga mo le lumanai. Whamaonia le nei poloainga e ala i loo sainieinga whaatasi ai ma le mau whailonga o loo ofisa o whai e le aso sfulu le nei o mati i le tausanga o le masina lua afe lua se fulu ma le lua. La saingi le Judy.
Ia, e whai ona sainia, whaamolmole se i tauwhi mai, le tātou patipati se i maea ona whaitawina, le tātou polo inga whalawai tele, i le ngana whakaritania, whaatai tele lau fionga. Ia o la whapena foi on tuatu ina tu le vanoi lau fionga. Ia, be a o atu iai i le whaitawina o polo inga whalawai tele le ngana Britania. Whaatai tele, whata, mwao, whaatai tufa, whaatai atu le fionga i le whatonu ia mua vai John Suisala mo le whaavanoaina ma le tō awai mai foi ia ma le tātou ngā lulue whelangolango mai. E ala lawa I mea uma tātou te whaia. For the reading of the proclamation in English, we have Mrs. Nancy Tangalua, Executive Director for Catholic Social Services. With the Diocese of Samoa Pampanga Catholic Church under the leadership of His Lordship Bishop Peter Brown. Catholic Social Services is a non-profit, faith-based, and community organization, and they assist those in need of finding ways to help them help themselves. Their vision is to serve to protect family and promote safety, relationships that is connected through loving communication based on truth, transparency, and accountability. Their mission is to provide servant leadership that promotes self-sufficiency in the home, focusing on core victim services. Today we are graced with the presence of the Executive Director, Mrs. Nancy Tangalua, who will be reading the English version of the Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month Proclamation. Thank you, Nancy.
Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month calls attention to misconceptions and misinformation about sexual assault. Harmful attitudes allow these crimes to persist and survivors to be re-victimized, and the importance of each of us speaking out against it. In order to change attitudes which allow sexual assault to persist, and whereas sexual assault at its core is a devastating abuse of power, one that affects people of every age, race, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic levels, abilities, religions, backgrounds, and beliefs. It includes physical, verbal, visual, emotional, psychological, social, spiritual, financial, and technological abuse, and can occur between intimate partners, family members, friends, acquaintances, and strangers. And whereas victims of sexual assault have a higher risk of experiencing a multitude of mental health conditions. Studies show post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is 7 times higher in victims of sexual violence. Depression is 2.7 times greater. Anxiety 4 times greater, and drug alcohol misuse 6 times greater. Victims are 3.5 times greater to have suicidal thoughts than those who have not experienced violence. And whereas COVID has exacerbated the already harrowing challenges facing sexual assault survivors by making it more difficult for them to seek help. As we race to stop the spread of this devastating virus, we must strengthen our efforts to support sexual assault survivors whose suffering may be compounded by this pandemic, as well as by the economic crisis that has further undermined their economic security and taken a toll on service providers. And whereas we also must recognize that sexual assault was already a public health crisis even before the pandemic struck. Research has revealed a strong link between sexual violence and chronic disease, as well as greater long-term economic burdens on survivors of sexual assault. The trauma of assault is further compounded by the high costs of medical and mental health care, navigating the criminal justice system, and lost productivity. And whereas our Samoan women often are silenced about the abuse due to shame, disgrace, and embarrassment it will bring to the family, leaving themselves to be re-traumatized from repeat sexual abuse and suffer silently from depression and anxiety that can lead to attempted suicide. And whereas it is the responsibility of each of us to stand up and speak out against it, not only to improve services available to survivors, but also to change the culture and attitudes that allow sexual assault to proliferate. And whereas together as a community, we can reform the norm, engaging in meaningful dialogue, educate ourselves and others, work towards prevention of sexual violence at its root causes, continue our coordinated community efforts, and hold offenders accountable. And whereas the principles of Fa'asamoa do not condone acts of violence against members of family or anyone. Instead, our Fa'asamoa should be our guide, which prevention and intervention approaches are addressed with key concepts such as sacred spaces of covenantal relationships between family members, respect where behavior and language honors sacred spaces and relationships, family where sacred spaces are preserved and protected, and self-love. And whereas during Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, the American Samoa Alliance Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, American Samoa Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition, the American Samoa Community College, American Samoa Office of the Governor, American Samoa Legal Aid, American Samoa Department of Legal Affairs, Back on Track, Catholic Social Services, Office of the Congresswoman, American Samoa Department of Education, American Samoa Department of Public Health, American Samoa Department of Human and Social Services, American Samoa Department of Public Safety, American Samoa Department of Youth and Women's Affairs, Empowering Pacific Island Communities, EPIC, Impact and Queers Tears, Intersection Inc., LBJ Tropical Medical Center, MANA Community Support Services, Office of Protection and Advocacy for the Disabled, Society of Fa'afafines in American Samoa, SOFIAs, American Samoa Territorial Administration on Aging, American Samoa Office of Veteran Affairs, and other community government agencies, along with numerous individuals, are committed to eliminating sexual violence in our community. A collaboration that will focus on prevention and awareness on sexual violence to strengthen the response in American Samoa.
Now, therefore, I, Manu B. S. Maunga, Governor of Territory of American Samoa, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. I join advocates, the American Samoa Alliance Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, partners, and the community of American Samoa in taking action to prevent sexual violence. I urge all of American Samoa to support victims when they reach out and disclose abuse. April is Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, and each day of the year is an opportunity to create change for the future. In witness thereof, I have hereon to affix my signature and the seal of my office on this 10th day of March, year of our Lord 2022.
Ia, se whaani mai whiwhi le pati, ua whapenao nā loa ia le aveo le māsina o Aperila, o le māsina, mo le whaatawaina, o le ma le whaatupula ia, o le malamalama ma le silafia, ia ai mesi fo i o ngā susuani mo i mātou wa fie sa wanga whaafio sua inga. Whaatai atu i lawa fionga i le Kovansili o Amerika Samoa tu sai fo i ma le saini o loa ao I le tatou pulo inga whalawa I tele. As Nancy was reading the English version of the Proclamation, I don't know if you could hear in her background the sounds of the bells at Fatua'aina. I know those are the bells at the Cathedral of the Catholic Church. And it makes me think of the Samoan proverb, that is exactly why we're here today. As the governor was saying earlier, when we are not seeing things happen, we should never just remain still. We still try our best. We still try our best. Thank you so much, everyone. Moving on, as we are trying to get the rest of our program in, we want to bring on Uni to share with you the calendar of events for this month of April, our partners' calendar of events. Some of our partners do not have what their activities and events, many virtual activity and events on the calendar of events for April. Nevertheless, when we do get them, we will be able to share. We promise to share. But so far, this is what we have. Uni?
Aloha and good morning, everyone. So our calendar for this month, as you all know, today was our virtual proclamation signing on the first day of April. Next week, Tuesday, is the day of action, and I'm so sorry, if anyone can see our calendar. Next week, all right. Next week, Tuesday, is a day of action. We wear teal for all the Tuesdays of this month. And we ask for everyone, if you all can please wear the color teal. And on Wednesday, we have our radio show in the morning at 9 a.m. called Lo Silafia Radio Show, followed by our Partners Monthly meeting at 10 a.m. And on 7th, 8th, and 9th, we have the Pacific Island Violence Prevention Conference in Utah. And the Alliance in American Samoa will be presenting at 11 a.m. on the 9th. And we hope everyone to be there and witness such event. On the 21st of April, we are going to have the Stalking, Know It, Name It, Stop It webinar at 10 a.m. as well. And on the 26th, 27th, 28th, we have the SAM Reform the Norm virtual conference at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for all 3 days. And let's not forget, on the 27th is also the Denim Day. And we ask everyone to be a part of this conference, and we'd love to have everyone to experience and witness this SAM Reform the Norm virtual conference. For more information, and if anyone have any questions, please, you can contact us at 699-0272 or check out our website at www.asalliance.co or email us at asadsv@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Judy.
Thank you, Uni. Thank you, Uni. Uni is the training coordinator assistant here at the Alliance. Thank you for walking through the calendar of events with us. For the on the 21st, there's a webinar. That webinar is hosted by the American Samoa Legal Aid with Mona Uli from Back on Track. It's on stalking. Great information. You don't want to miss out on it. If you have any questions on any of the events on the calendar, please do not hesitate to connect with us. We will share the links and everything, which will be coming at a later date. And if anyone has any event that they want us to put out there, share the information by all means. Share. We're most happy to do so. And if there's anyone, as we're in Code Red, a lot of the events are done virtually. So if anyone is in need of support for all of the virtual support, in need of that, please connect with the Alliance. We will be more than happy to support you, to provide that support and how you can get your messages out there virtually, because to promote social distancing and keeping away from each other during this time of Code Red. Thank you, Uni. I would like to ask everyone at this point in time to put on a big smile. This is when we're going to be taking our group photo. Believe it or not, I can take your picture from here. So if you can just, for those of us who are, our cameras are off, if you want to come on, open your videos so we can take a picture of you. That is, you are most welcome to do so. If not, it's okay. We're good. Big smile. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3 on Sam. 1, 2, 3, Sam. And one more. Thank you. Thank you. See, that was painless. That was quick photography. All right. We've come to the conclusion of our program. Before we go, again, wellness is very important. Marilyn, please guide us through wellness again before we leave.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody of how you were going to support yourself today. It's very important that you make it a priority. You can't be as productive or happy if your mental wellness is not in check. So I ask you all at the end of today to think back today. Did I support myself today? Did I do a good job? And this is also an exercise you can do on your own or in your office or in your department. You can just do a mental wellness check-in every morning. Just check your temperature, see how you're feeling, and how you can get yourself motivated and just to focus on your day. So I just want each and every one of you to remember, and you too, Governor, that you are very important and your wellness is most important. Thank you all. Back to Judy.
Thank you, Marilyn. Befolinga mai vai atu wa masani umata to lo Zoom wa relay umata to le mute unmute le video or Zoom experts umata to. One of the benefits, one of the advantages of COVID. Wa analiza le COVID. Ya to tili ola to tipung sala to tili loni me to Zoom. All right. We have officially come to the conclusion of today's program, or the virtual signing of the Proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month 2022. We wish to thank you all for joining us today and hope to see you all throughout the month of April during our virtual programs and events as we provide support, awareness, education, training, services, and so forth to continue supporting victims of sexual assault and all victims of violence. April 40, Ole Masina, Ole Child Abuse Awareness Month. Thank you everyone all for all you do and for the continuous support. We want to acknowledge Before we go, we want to acknowledge the continuous support and dedication of our partners here today, the American Samoa Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, Executive Director, Mrs. Mata'otia Liu Ma'ilo. Thank you, Director, for joining us today. DOE, Director Asaeli, and the team, Guidance and Counseling and SPED, Yuti Tuya Sosopo, and the lovely ladies there, Faleula Sapa, Motunga Vele, Wendy Motule, and Lotule, and Dr. Carolyn Bissett Bird. Thank you, ladies. We want to thank also the Director for the Department of Youth and Women's Affairs, Dr. Salote Awelua Faunene, who continues to strive and support the efforts of all service provider as she is a service provider herself. Thank you, Director, and your wonderful team at DIWA. We want to thank Director Mwavai Fatasi John Suisala. He is one director who is always behind the scenes. You never really see John Suisala, Mwavai Fatasi John Suisala in the picture, but he's behind the scenes pushing his staff, because if his staff is moving, it's because it's because Mwavai Fatasi is behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Director, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. Thank you, ladies, Tufa and Fata, for joining us today. Thank you, Director of the American Samoa Cancer Coalition, Vatosili Tofaiono, for taking time out to be with us today. Thank you to to the VA office and Dr. Jueta Magachan Tofaiono for always continuing to support these efforts and the work, especially the mental well-being and the mental health of our people today. Thank you to Director Lia Seui, her team at Intersections, for the continuous support and for the never-ending love from your end and the youth, and also on the team with everything you do. Thank you for always reaching out, for always entrusting the Alliance to be a partner. Thank you to the AG's office, to Fainu one of our big supporters, Fainu Lane Utu at the AG's office, the Attorney General himself. Thank you to his team, Faith and Farron, for joining us today. Ladies, you look beautiful. It's been a while, but it's good to see you when you do have time to come around. Fate Tele Win, Mrs. Beta Sunia, for joining us today, as well as Nancy. Everyone here, we realize everyone wears so many hats. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to our partners from Australia, ICANN, Mrs. Fa'alu Yuli, for joining us today, always remaining a strong partner and ally of the Alliance. Thank you, Alu. Thank you, Executive Director Scott Hess at the American Samoa Legal Aid and your team for always supporting the Alliance and always being a strong partner in this work. Thank you, Back on Track, Mona Uli, for everything you do. Thank you to the Director of the Criminal Justice Planning Agency, Mrs. Mariana Timo Fai'ai and her team. I think I saw two here, two must have got off. Thank you to Kaitu. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to your director and everybody there at the of the team. We also want to thank Mana Health Support Services, Mrs. Elizabeth Ma'ilo, for joining us, and especially the continuous work that she provides for the territory, for victims of violence for the territory of Samoa. We want to thank Mr. Derek Helsham of the American Samoa Community College. Derek, you are always there. Thank you for everything you do for the youth of American Samoa. We also want to thank and acknowledge the presence of some of our summer youth interns that have worked with us. I don't know if they've gotten off. We had Athena Polu, who was one of our summer program interns. Hi, Athena, I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Athena is now, I believe, a junior at the Naruli Voltech High School, and she has big plans for her future, and she is one of the youth of American Samoa that is definitely going places. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stina Scanlon. We love you. Please remain connected. Please remain connected. Please remain safe in Manua. Anytime you're in Tutuila, please make sure you swing by the Alliance. And if we have not mentioned your name, thank you, Maria Carmeli, for joining us. Waitapu Mailata for joining us. Mr. and Mrs. Pastor and Mrs. Terry Tofayono, thank you, Tina. It's so lovely to see you back home. Thank you to everyone who's here, and thank you, Governor. Last but not the least, normally we always thank the Governor at the beginning. We want to thank you, Governor, for having our backs. We wouldn't be able to do this work if we didn't have a leader such as yourself at the helm of the work here in American Samoa, the leadership here in American Samoa. Ua tātou tū nei, ua tātou tū vai nei si ui o le tātou Proclamation nei aso. Mātou te onge upu o le ngana e whaalia nganga o le whaafetai. O lea tau ina ia mātou whaapea. Whaafetai leanga whaatamali, whaafetai i leanga whaatupu, whaafetai leanga whaafale polu. I la o tau langolangoina o tātou Proclamation whai e ala i tau awan mai, sangi mai. Ngā rui whaatasi en whelangolango mai, mai whaamaru si au mai. Se anono o tau pi ama mai, si manue tau mate se ete so mātou tau whai nei aso. Ma le tele lava o taimi a whaanga solo ngā ruenga i le tausanga. O le vainga tau wai masini au tū o mā, o le whaiam tātou nofo sa Amerika sa moe sa aroto mai sa wanga, i ai atu tusa ai mese o whaano anu ai. Ma o tātou tau whai fwere nai na i whaatutua i o tātou sinafia, ma le manga ma i tūlanga ese i whaatitau sa wanga, ina i tātou tau mamau mai gai, ma le longa masifau i ala mona pea lona pa o. Tau na ia longa atu pea. A whaifoi wa sipa se la manga, po o sa mātou pati wa sala, ma se anga wuli tau tamali i sa o tausi ni sila, i whaafoi mai e mangalo e so mātou lio vai. Se taimi o mua tu ua marfua ma talan whiri ali, tātou talalua tuna mwhata, a whio nai tu i langi e ma, e tapua i pea le maua miksa mo te atu i sa wanga. Ia manuia tele fuanga uma o nei aso, le nei masina, ai me se ai o le tātou no nofo puipuia, ma le saunga le mu mai le whaamai o lo o tātou whiangai ai nei. Wa o juri matautia mai le mau te atu i sa wanga. Soifua.